Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Emerging Franchise Brands Podcast. I'm your host, Frank Fiume, here live at the IFA2024 National Convention, and looking forward to interviewing some folks at this year's event. I have John from Imaginuity. How are you?
Great. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for being on. Appreciate it. What in the world is Imaginuity? What a cool name.
Yeah, well, thank you. Imaginuity, we are a digital marketing agency out of Dallas. The DNA comes from the name, so it's imagination plus ingenuity. So it's all about just kind of thinking smarter and bringing marketing solutions together for franchise clients.
That's awesome. So I interview a lot of emerging founders, that's hence the podcast.
Right.
What do you see as some of the challenges specifically with emerging franchise companies that you work with?
Well, I mean, marketing is so important for brands like that, and yet they don't really have the budget, to do things they need to do at the scale that they need to do them on. So it's really kind of, understanding kind of like the basics. So first of all, understanding kind of that overall purpose of the brand. Why is the brand in business? What value do they provide to the customers? Then building out, messaging around that sort of purpose. Also, have to have a website. Right, you have to have a website that kind of brings that brand to life, that kind of tells that story, so that you can send people there to get the experience, whether it's a customer that you want to try to bring into the franchise, or whether it's new franchisees if you're trying to build the system.
That's great. I'm thinking about, you've been in the IFA now here a few days. How many IFAs is this for you now?
This is only my second.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's still a little bit overwhelming, try to figure out who's who and what's going on, but it's great. I mean, a lot of good connections, a lot of good content.
That's awesome. What's been maybe one or two of your biggest takeaways here at the event?
Well, obviously AI, is all over the place, and so people are really interested in it. I don't think they realize that they've already been using it, right? So algorithms are AI, and so Google Maps is AI, so people have been using it for a long time. But now I think it's an opportunity to understand, okay, how can you kind of bring it down out of the I don't quite understand it to something that's now easy for me to just go in, type a prompt, and all of a sudden I might have an image or I might have a video that I can use to help my marketing efforts.
Tell me about having an AI spokesperson.
Yeah, so very, very exciting. We actually launched this past week. We have a client that manages over 300 shopping centers across the country. And so we have created a virtual spokesperson called Cindy that we've created through AI. And she is now the spokesperson for this mall. So she's at the mall is San Francisco Center. Okay. So she's talking about everything that's going on at the mall. So come out this weekend, we're having the Christmas tree lighting, or we're going to go ice skating, or there's a band that's playing this weekend. So right now she's just the spokesperson of the mall. And then depending on what sort of traction we get around that, we can then replicate her across multiple shopping centers in different parts of the country, change ethnicity, change age, just to basically match the demographics of the community around that shopping center.
And Cindy's not going to ask for a raise. There's no labor issues. We can ask her to work.
Something crazy over the weekend that we have to deal with on a Monday morning. And so right now she's just the spokesperson for the mall. But a 2.0 version could very easily be retailers within the mall now want her to promote something that's going on this weekend. So Neiman Marcus could pay the shopping center to have Cindy deliver a message for Neiman Marcus for that weekend, or if they're trying to support a sale.
John, can you put some people's minds at ease on how Cindy will not really replace people, but create new jobs for other people and other skill sets?
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, you have to indicate in any sort of post that this is virtual, right? You can't pretend, that this is real. But, using AI for something like this, like a lot of other use cases, is that it just gives you time back to think about things that are really, really important for you to do, right? So another example of how we're using AI. So we have another franchise client that has 1,500 units across the country, and they all have their own website. So they may decide we need to write new content for all of these websites. Well, a couple years ago, it's our copywriters writing 1,500 different pages of copy, at a very high hourly rate that takes a long, long time. Well, right now through AI, you can create 80, 85% of that content within minutes, And then the writers are now just being editors, and they're able to put more time into customizing that content for a shopping center or for a local franchisee, rather than spending 95% of their time just keying in the same copy over and over again, not giving them any time to think, right? So it's not, one of the great quotes about AI that I love is that AI is not going to replace your job, but somebody that uses AI very well might, right? So the idea is it's not going away. A lot of these tools are free, or if they're not free, they're pretty inexpensive. So it doesn't take much to experiment, try some things, see what works, see what doesn't work, and then try something else.
John, thank you so much for being on. I appreciate it. It's great advice.
Thank you very much. Yeah, this was fun.
Thank you for tuning into the Emerging Franchise Brands podcast. For additional insights, guest applications, and to stay connected, visit us at efbpodcast.com. The Emerging Franchise Brands podcast is for entertainment purposes only, and the views expressed do not necessarily represent those of Emerging Franchise Brands, its host Frank Fiume, or Emerging Franchise Group LLC. Any discussed franchise or investment opportunity requires thorough investigation, obtaining proper disclosure documents, and expert consultation before making any investment decisions. The podcast and its host do not offer professional advice or endorsements, and they hold no responsibility for actions, representations, accuracy, or consequential damages related to the podcast content.